Hello everyone, hope you're doing well, and in this video I want to talk about why I think Louis Rossmann is wrong about Android being inferior, or Samsung doing things wrong, or touchwiz Android being inferior, and why I think that's meaningless, and why I think touchwiz is the best, and why Samsung is the best, and why Apple is still garbage, but even stock Android is garbage. So the reason is TouchWiz, you have multi-window. So you can open up any app in true multi-windows and have 5 different windows open at once. He mentioned the Bixby button being bad. Bixby button is awesome if you know what it's there for. So you can say open Bluetooth settings and it'll bring you straight to Bluetooth settings. You can say open my watch later list on YouTube, and then open your watch later list on YouTube. So it gives you a voice command that will usually go down 5 different levels of menus that you can use to speed up your use of the phone. Now if you don't like Bixby button, you can remap Bixby button to add another functionality to your device, which is awesome. So another thing about TouchWiz that just blows all the other stock Android devices out of the water, and that is their camera application. If you've ever used CyanogenMod, which is a piece of garbage, which I'll get into in a second here, the stock camera app is literally record and take picture, turn off flashlight, and that's it. Samsung has 60 FPS, almost everything you'd want on a camera feature, and if you look at the cameras, the colors are better even if you record them with, let's say, open camera. The colors record better if you record straight from the Samsung camera app. So, and also, because Samsung is so awesome, you can use Samsung to turn your old phone into a makeshift body camera that can record for 24 hours, which is also cool, and also another reason why Samsung is the best and awesome and Apple is complete garbage. So he makes the point about the new phones, which these are the points he's right about. The new phones having built-in batteries, which I agree is complete garbage, and then the new phones having edge screens, which I agree are complete garbage. So I'm afraid to use my Note 7 too much or to put any weight on it because it can just not boot the next day because of it having an internal battery or buttons that break and I can't replace them. So he's right about that. That design sucks. But if you have something like a Note 4 or a Note 3, which I still use as my main phone, you can do a ton of awesome things. And so I think KitKat is still the best version of Android. So here we have KitKat, rooted and exposed. And one thing Louis didn't mention about the Apple battery replacement program, so I have, go to people and help them fix their stuff, and one of the things is someone has an iPhone 5 that they need a new battery in, but that program Louis talks about for $30 does not recover iPhone 5S's or anything below that. It only recovers iPhone 6's, and that is because of their lawsuit or whatever. I don't know much about that. Louis would know way more about that. So they're not doing it out of the goodness of their heart. They're doing it because they're kind of forced to, and that's why you see on Slick Deals the $50 battery credit if you got your iPhone battery fixed in the last year, if it was an iPhone 6 and up. So Apple charging $30 for a replaced iPhone battery, that's a subsidized price. That's not a real price. I was expecting Samsung to charge $230 for a replacement battery. Them charging $70 is awesome because in the future, because phones lose about half their value every year, so in about 2 years I'll have a Note 8 and I'll pay to get the battery replaced if they still offer that service for $70 because that's really awesome. So yeah, edge screens are garbage because the problem with edge screens is one of the awesome things about Android is the exposed framework and then exposed edge, and that allows you to map gestures based on the edges of your screen. So here, if I have all these notifications and I want to clear them, I have it set up where I just swipe to the side and then all my notifications are clear. If I want the flashlight, I just swipe down on the side, my flashlight turns on. Basically any features or functionalities I want can be done with exposed edge. And one of the other awesome things about Android is you can actually show your touches on the screen, and through an exposed module you can change what that icon is that shows the touches. It's really annoying with Apple that you can't even show your touches on the screen to see if your screen is somehow broken or you're missing the button. So that's a really annoying thing. Now, another thing is Android has something called Search Anywhere, and this allows you to search for any text on your screen, which is another really awesome thing. That so you just bring up. So I have it on on a gesture where I just swipe up, and now I can search for the word clip on any text. So if I have a huge long list view with 100 items in it, I can just search for clip, and it'll go ahead and automatically go through that list view and find the word clip. So that's another reason why Android is better, and TouchWiz is much better. The interface is better for the settings. It has more features, and more features is really what it's all about. More features, more features, more features. So anything you can do that has more features is what makes Android so great. I prefer to use Android over Windows because of all the things you can do on it. So another thing Android or Samsung has is SmartThings, and what's so awesome about SmartThings is it runs on the Zigbee protocol, meaning you can use any Samsung devices as long as they run on Zigbee or third-party devices with Samsung SmartThings. So that's another awesome thing that Samsung's done. The only thing they've really messed up on is no removable batteries, and that's just really annoying because a lot of times I'll drain the battery on my Note 3, I'll just pop off the back and pop in a new battery and I'm ready to go for the day. Another awesome thing about Android that Apple could never do is you can launch arbitrary activities. So if you want to go straight to the page on YouTube that's my subscriptions, as long as you have whatever the activity is called, you can go ahead and arbitrarily launch that. Or what I use it for is I want to go straight to my followed searches on eBay. I press a button on my Nova Launcher home screen, as Nova Launcher is the only launcher you should actually use on Samsung. On Android. It launches straight to that page of followed searches and saves about 3 touches. Another awesome thing about Android, which you can never do with Apple, is you can set it up to where you can remotely find any of your phones. So if this phone is on here, well, let me turn this phone on. Okay, these both need to be charged, but here I can ring this phone here by just pressing a button on my Android phone, and I can also look through this phone's camera if I left it somewhere. And the other most amazing thing about Android is TeamViewer and TeamViewer Host. So if I have a file on, let's say, 1Password on this phone, and somehow it's not synced over to my other phone I'm using, because you have to use multiple Note devices because Android Notes are the best ones. You don't want to go with S7, S8, S9. You only want to go with the Android Note series. You can go ahead and remote into that phone and type in your password and pull off the data off that database. So let me go ahead and ring this phone here. Oh, I have Wi-Fi turned off to save battery. But yes, you can well, because I use them as security camera, so I'll just go ahead and pull my tablet off the wall, and that's as a security camera right now. And this is something Apple could never do. So here we have it. I'm looking through my phone's camera right now as a security camera. I can go ahead and ring it. So here I can just pull my tablet off the wall, and you can always look through your phone's cameras to find out where you left them. You can ring them, you can remote into them. So it really integrates your devices. And on top of that, you add Tasker, which is the best application for Android. You add Tasker with Samsung SmartThings, and then you can go ahead and create some basic logic to let you know anything you really want to do. And that's what makes Android so awesome, is all the integration. And you add Join by Joan Diaz on top of that, and you can sync notifications from different Android devices all across your devices, and you can remote type, you can pretty much do anything you want. Another thing that makes Android so great is, let's say I have a So I have eBay here, and I go ahead and want to get some more metadata on this, so I go ahead and copy the item number to my clipboard, but then what Tasker does automatically gives me a button that if I click, it'll send me over to watch count and tell me all the details about that. And what it does is it reads the clipboard and says this this number is within the range of an eBay item number, not too high, not too low. And then it will go ahead and one button press pop up on my screen. Again, something Apple could never ever do and would be a huge hassle to do on Windows. Will go ahead and show me the metadata of that eBay item, but that's really, you could do anything you want with that. So, and that gets into the other point of that. Where was I going with that? I forget where I was going, but oh yes, tracking. So with Android, you can also track everything you can do that you could never do with Apple. So you know, all I have to do is swipe over and I have everything in my clipboard. And also I have a touch counter which tells me how many times, you know, how much input my phone has had over its device's life. I have 2 touch counters, notification log, that will, if I get a notification and accidentally remove it, it'll tell me and let me have a chance to click it again. And here we have the notification for Louis Rossmann's live stream, that if I want to press it, I can go and watch his live stream, even if I accidentally dismissed it. Other things we have is application usage, which applications you use most and how long you use them. Other awesome thing about Android is Titanium Backup, so you can back up a device and its settings and its database and restore it to another app. Internet speed meter, so you can go ahead and see how much up and down your device is pulling, and you can see what app is actually doing the up and down pull. So if I go ahead and press that, it will give me a overlay. And tell me what devices are using anything on my network. Also, you have basic keyloggers which will read your screen, and this is keylogger as in the good sense, as in it tells you what you typed. So you type a big long YouTube comment and then you press, you know, accidentally cancel and you can get it back. So what it does is it reads it uses the device accessibility, and it reads the device accessibility and saves that to a what do they call it? A database, and then you can go ahead and copy that back to your clipboard and use it again later. And another awesome thing Android has is universal copy, so you can copy text anywhere from any part of the screen, which, because of the accessibility settings, which is another thing Apple could never do. Then also, someone has made a front end for the WhatPulse application, so you can go ahead and check all your computer stats. You can go and check all your computer stats straight from the WhatPulse Android app and see how much of your computer things you have, see how much input you've put into your computers, and see how much you value that data when you want to back it up, and you know how much basically input you've put in, because that's kind of a measure of value. And it just makes Android so much better than Apple. And even the Note 3 is the phone I use now. With Write on Tape, I can go ahead and write straight on the front of my screen with a pencil, and glow in the dark, I can see where my phone's at, where I leave it. Velcro, I can just stick it on my wall. So Samsung is absolute best when it comes to smartphones, and the only thing that had a chance of competing with Samsung smartphones was Google Aura, but that never came to fruition, which was really annoying because they did press releases and stuff, but that's the only thing that had a chance to compete with Samsung. Otherwise, there's really no point, because you want Samsung Pay, so you can just use a second device for that. I know if you root, you lose Samsung Pay, but go ahead, you can just use a second Samsung device. You want root. Oh, and one way to get around that too is to get a Samsung Gear smartwatch. And then go ahead and use Samsung Pay from your watch, and you can still use a rooted phone. So it's basically Android's the best operating system, and then which is also Chrome OS is going to I think, phase out Windows. Not anytime particularly soon, but it's just going to slowly happen. So Android is the best mobile operating system, and in my opinion, probably the best operating system altogether. And then you add on top of that all the extra features Samsung gives you, which such as Bixby button, which is a good thing. You pretty much, because you can always remap it. So if I double tap my volume up, my flashlight turns on. If I double tap volume down, my volume goes completely off. And if I double tap home button, my phone automatically starts recording. So like video recording, and I can touch the screen whenever, not turn it off. If I long hold the home button, my phone automatically takes a picture. So it's just that Samsung provides you the best interface to use all your features on Android. And I meant to get into CyanogenMod and just how horrible CyanogenMod is. So CyanogenMod couldn't even keep its doors open, and what really bothered me is everyone would talk about how great CyanogenMod is, and then in 2016 they announced that we're shutting down CyanogenMod, and they closed all the nightlies, so you couldn't download any. Or no, they closed all the database, so you couldn't download any of the CyanogenMod ROMs anymore. And they just basically said, all this time they're saying CyanogenMod is so great, and then they just made it disappear. So there is some things wrong that Samsung is doing, such as the built-in batteries and the edge screens are annoying, but it's so much better than everyone else by leaps and bounds that really Samsung's the only way to go. And especially when you use a stock Android phone and a Google phone, you realize just how many features it's missing and just how bad it is. Even the ability just to swipe from the corner of your screen and get a multi-window, and to be able to do that with 4 different multi-windows, to have bubbled multi-windows, is just makes Samsung the best. If you have any questions or comments or rage or hate or troll or whatever, go ahead and leave them below. Thanks for watching, and that's it.